Welcome to the Finkel Show. Sit back, relax, be entertained, and maybe even learn something.
Good morning. It's 6:26 a.m. This is live, but I know most people will watch it at a later time. By the way, when I give a timestamp, I give it to the local time where I'm at, and I'm in the Eastern U.S. time zone. It's the 24th of September, and in a little while, I'm heading out to a very special place. But if you're out there, as I identify publicly as David Finkel, which is not my real name, so I'm justifying that as I'm maintaining my anonymity, because my real name is Richard Milhouse Nelson. People know that I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I work a program called AA. It's a 12-step program. And my fake name, David Finkel, the anonymity shot on that a long time ago. And I do identify as a recovering alcoholic. Thank God for the recovering part, because wow, what a difference my life is. No, I'm not taking Theranos aside today because I'm going to be driving a lot today. So no water pill because that makes me pee. I'll just take one tonight when I get back to Mom's house. Hey, somebody's actually watching. Oh, BSBT. How you doing, BSBT? Stick around and learn about Rule 62. Okay, so Alcoholics Anonymous is many things. It's been accused of being a cult. I don't think that's accurate because we don't have a religious leader. Good morning, Melanie Salisbury. But there are those out there who accuse us of being a cult. There are those out there who accuse us of being a religion. I don't think we're a religion because we don't have a religious leader. In fact, we tell folks, find a higher power of their understanding. However you understand it, whether it's Yahweh, Jesus, Allah, Muhammad, Buddha, whoever the deities are in Hinduism. The idea is that usually when people stunt their emotional and spiritual growth, usually in their teens or early 20s, not always, but usually in that time frame, they tend to become egotistical and don't really work through life the way life, emotionally stunted, basically. They might still learn in college or learn in the military, learn new tricks, but they become to rely on themselves, not something greater than themselves. And that's the whole idea behind the second step, if you're familiar with the 12 steps. But what it is a fellowship. And I'll read you something about that here in a little bit. It is a program. It's got steps and suggestions for how to stay sober, and grow spiritually. Not religiously, spiritually. Religiously is outside of AA. In fact, let me read what is read at the opening of most AA meetings. And this is at least the second, maybe the third or fourth evolution of this, but this is called the AA preamble. We the people, oh no, I'm sorry, wrong preamble. The AA preamble, not the Constitution preamble. Okay. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. That's our purpose, and we don't always succeed. I'm not what you call a first nighter. In AA lingo, a first nighter is someone who comes into the rooms of AA, makes the decision to stop drinking, and whatever length of sobriety they have now, they never went back to drinking. I did. I was sober, or shall we say dry. I was in the program, in the fellowship, for 13 months, and I went back out and did more experimentation, as they like to call it. So my actual sobriety date is August 9th, 2012. Now, my memory's not so good. You may have me quoting August 9th or August 12th, 2014. I get numbers confused sometimes, and August 14th is the dating anniversary of the person I've been referring to on YouTube as Holly. And that was our first date, our first kiss. That's when we decided we're going to be committed to each other. So, and she knew me a little bit before I hit my 1 year. She wanted to make sure I hit my 1 year before she took a friendship any further. And God bless her for that, because people under a year usually, especially if they're not actually working the steps, yeah, they can have issues. They're a big risk. Turns out 13 years later, I was a big risk, but not about alcoholism. Okay, let me break the AA preamble down. As the current one, it used to say slightly different things. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people. It is actually a program and a fellowship. When I say fellowship, I mean we call each other, we hang out to each other, we go out for coffee together. Sometimes we have AA-related Super Bowl parties or dances or karaoke nights. No, I don't sing karaoke. Those first couple of years, my group was meeting for softball every Saturday at Fort Hunt Park. Kind of got away from that. I got away from that, and now that I'm going back to that original group, they're doing pickleball. What the hell's pickleball? Okay, I haven't fellowshipped in pickleball yet. Okay, so it's a program, and that's where you work the steps, you share your experience, strength, and hope, you learn from others, and you demonstrate to others what you've learned. And it's a fellowship, a group of friends or friendly people who hang out, call each other, and lean on each other. It's also got lore, and that's where Rule 62 comes in. It's AA lore. Some would call it AA history, but as with any historical references, sometimes people get it wrong, or sometimes a certain group gets to write the history and nobody else knows it. That's what we call AA history or AA lore, and that's what Rule 62 is. Excuse me. They may solve the common problem and help others recover from alcoholism. Yeah, that's their goal. The only requirement for membership is desire to stop drinking. That's really their only rule. But really, what is a member? I don't have a card that says David Finkel, member number 3978. I don't have a membership card, but I'm recognized in meetings in my area as someone who's been coming. So what is membership? That's kind of a loose term. Anybody can walk into any AA meeting. Now they have open meetings and closed meetings. A closed meeting, the group conscious, not a rule, a group's preference is that you only come to that meeting if you're having a problem with alcohol, if you have a desire to stop drinking, if you want help with your alcoholism. An open meeting is literally open to anybody, whether you admit to be an alcoholic, whether you're I've seen in open meetings, I've seen medical students come in to audit AA because they're working on something for their class and they want to see how AAs stay sober, because AA is recognized by the AMA as a disease. So a lot of times we get nursing students or medical students, they come in. Another kind of audit are drunks, like not really sure if they have a problem, not really sure if they want to quit drinking. They've heard about AA and they want to check it out. So they go to a few open meetings. They don't necessarily identify as alcoholics. We're like, what are you people all about? Blood pressure medicine there. All right, I see I'm back down to 2, which means it's early in the morning and this is a boring topic for most. But hang in there. Rule 62 is coming. There are no dues or fees for a membership. So you come to the meeting and they pass the basket. There's no requirement to put anything in the basket. Well, Actually, a lot of meetings, if you're court ordered to attend so many meetings, you might have to put in a sign-in sheet in the basket. And usually the treasurer or the secretary of that meeting will sign that you came to that meeting and you're given your signature form back at the end of the meeting. That way a judge or a lawyer or probation officer will know, yeah, Billy Joe Jim Bob did go to this meeting on this date at this location. Otherwise, and that's another place where anonymity gets broken, because the secretary or treasurer, whoever's doing the money counting and signing these forms, they sign their name. So I guess they're kind of outing themselves, but usually if you take a position like secretary or treasurer, you're okay with the judge or a probation officer knowing that you are a recovering alcoholic too. We are self-supporting to our own contributions, right? In AA, a group might buy coffee, they might buy literature, they might have to pay rent for the space they're in, and that's not done through going to stores and asking for donations. That is from people who attend and they pass the basket. They do what they call the seventh tradition, and people give, whatever they feel like giving for that meeting. AA's not, this is important, AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy. Now, you know me, David Finkel, on YouTube especially, and sometimes on YouTube, I engage in some controversy. Personal controversy, like for public safety, the Johnny Specific. Political controversy, like going to the Veterans March and stuff like that. I am not representing AA, and that has nothing to do with AA. That's just me. A person who does go to AA also has a life outside of AA. But AA itself won't get involved in those things. However, in its lore, in its history, it did a few times, or tried to. Didn't work out so well. Turns out we believe a higher power wants us to be they want us to be happy, joyous, and free, but he also wants us to be not aligned with anything, so that anybody who feels that they have a problem with alcoholism will feel welcome there. And despite that, still people come and say, oh, that's a cult, or that's a religion, or whatever. It's not, but if we go out there and an AA group supports Trump or supports Harris, well, there's going to be a whole lot of possible recovering alcoholics like, oh no, I'm not down with that. So we're completely unaffiliated with any of that stuff. And it gets real challenging. Sometimes several AA groups will combine and open up a clubhouse. Here in upstate New York, they call them Alanos, ALANO. I think that's some sort of abbreviation between Al-Anon and Alcoholics Anonymous. And the club itself, the clubhouse itself, is not AA. And it does sometimes align itself with other things. The groups that use that club have to abide by the rules of the club. You can't, or this works for churches too, churches or libraries or wherever AAs meet. Usually these days, you can't smoke in an AA meeting. When I was a kid and my dad and stepfather were in AA, some of the smokiest places on the planet were in AA meetings. Some clubhouses have a no foul language policy. Not really hardly enforced, because when you're sharing experience strikes and hope, well, fuck, sometimes the bad words come out. It's just part of the spirituality of imperfection. Excuse me, even though I'm sober, I do have a drinking problem. That's called Ball's palsy. Okay, where was I? I'm missing the chat. I'm sorry. I see I have, okay, I already recognize Melanie. What was your aha moment you decided to stop drinking? Well, that's, I had two of those. And one the first time I came in, and the second time, no, I don't mind sharing. I think I've shared before. Maybe I'll do a show on that, on my aha moment. Today I'm digressing a lot, and I'm trying to, in a long form way of getting to Rule 62. And by the way, if you're familiar with AA, you may already be familiar with 62, but as per President Obama's opening, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And if you do know the story, try not to ruin it for everybody else. Friday to watch. Good afternoon, Finkel. Oh, Friday to watch is on the other side of the world. It is 6:41 a.m. here. I used to think that before my first meeting. I'm assuming you're talking about what I'm talking about. Of course, Friday to watch, I'm sure is not your name, so you two are still anonymous with that, if that's what you're saying. Okay. So back to the preamble. Yeah, we're not Trumpanzees, we're not libtards, we're drunks trying to stay sober. We neither endorse nor oppose any cause. Again, in AA history and AA lore, that's not always been the same, but true. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. I'm getting closer to Rule 62 here because AA, I want to say it's like 80 years old, maybe a little bit older. I think 80 was when I was new. I don't know the exact date. Bill Wilson, our founder, the founder of AA, he was a non-drinker. He was raised in a non-drinking family, and I'm going down history, which could also be lore because I don't know if the stories are how accurate they are. Now remember, these are drunks telling these stories who are sober. And one thing we know about the human condition, we don't always remember things right. And one thing we know about the drunk condition, we really don't always remember things right. But to the best of our knowledge, Bill Wilson was raised in a non-drinking family, and he dated a girl in high school who was also from a non-drinking family. Now she died in surgery, and that really broke his heart. That didn't drive him to drink. He still was a non-drinker, and he started dating in college. I think college or sometime after high school. He starts dating the woman we now call Lois. You might hear stories about Bill and Lois. And Lois was also herself a non-drinker, but her family did drink. They did drink. But Bill Wilson, the co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, was a lifelong alcoholic who struggled with the disease for many years. Okay, yeah, that's true. When we identify as an alcoholic, we realize we've always had the condition, we just didn't recognize it until a certain point. And up until just prior to World War One, Bill Wilson just did not drink. Okay, technically, medically, he's an alcoholic because he's predisposed as such. But World War, as he's getting ready to go off to World War One, his wife's family were very socialite, and they did serve alcohol. And they were upper class. So when I heard the story, I imagined Bill Wilson being kind of like David Finkel when he met Holly, way out of my league because he referred to Lois and her family as way out of her league. He was very uncomfortable at a social gathering, and someone brought him an alcoholic beverage, and just instinctively took it. And as he's kind of feeling very awkward and less than, he took that drink, and almost instantly, in his description, he felt at ease. He felt like he could talk. He felt like he could talk and people would listen. He felt like he could be an equal with these upper society, high class so-and-sos. And so in that moment, he identifies he was turned on to alcohol. And of course, he went to World War One. I don't know how you can get through that without becoming an alcoholic, but yeah, he came home from World War One a pitiful, incomprehensible, demoralized drunk. Him and Lois dabbled with, people refer to him as a stockbroker. I'm way digressing. Okay. As a stockbroker. The truth is, he wasn't a stockbroker. He was one of these guys that checked out companies and reported back to the stockbrokers. And as such, he got some benefits with that. So he was involved in the stock market. And but every time he'd come up on a big deal and get drunk, he'd blow it. So at some point, he realized he was a drunk. And one of his old World War I drinking buddies, we call him Ebby, met him one day when his wife had just about given up on Bill. Ebby came to him, and first thing Bill did was offer him a drink, and Ebby's like, "No, I'm not doing that anymore." It's like, "What? Ebby's not drinking? Wait a minute, this is one of my best drinking buddies. What the hell's going on?" And Ebby had joined something. Correct me if I'm wrong. To those out you know, I think it was called Oxford Group, and they had similar steps as the 12 steps of AA, but there's only like 6 or 8. They're less than 12. I don't remember the exact count, but Ebby had one of the steps was similar to our second step. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore society. That's referring to a higher power. That's referring to turning the problem over to a God of your understanding. I'm not sure how they worded it, but it was something along those lines, which was carried over into the 12 steps of AA. And they had this whole discussion of the way Ebby put it is he found religion. Today we look back on that and we say we found spirituality. Because I don't know if Ebby was a Methodist or a Baptist or a Catholic or a Jew or he found, I'm going to paraphrase it for him and say he found spirituality. He leaned on a power greater than themselves to stay sober. And he had been sober ever since. Now the sad irony is later on, Ebby did die of alcoholism. It didn't work for him. What was different about Bill is he went by these 6 steps and he tried it, and he still kept going back out. There's one documentary where it depicts him telling his story of alcoholism on a bus trip when he's going to check out one of these companies on the stock market. And he's just saying, I don't drink, I can't drink, and because if I do drink, I'm going to drink more. What makes me an alcoholic is that once I have a drink, the compulsion of alcoholism kicks in, and then I can't stop on my own accord, which is my experience too. Not the bus and talking to some stranger, but yeah, if I have a drink, I can't stop. And he explained it to the guy on the bus, and then the bus stops at a restaurant because it's a long trip. These old school Greyhounds. It wasn't just you get on in New York City and you get off in San Diego. Along the way, you're stopping for meals and such, maybe changing buses. Well, they stopped at some sort of bar and grill. I'm not sure. And somebody bought the house bought a round for the house. And they put a shot glass in front of Bill. And he's still talking to his newfound buddy about his journey in alcoholism. And instinctively, Bill picked it up and slammed it down. The guy said, didn't you just tell me that's going to be a problem for you? And Bill said, well, I have the knowledge that I'm an alcoholic, so I'm okay. And that turned out to be another blackout drunk. And Bill would get on the wagon and off the wagon and on the wagon and off the wagon. What today we would call the rotating door policy. We have a lot of those. And the magical difference, the jumping off place, the thing that changed Bill's direction from so many alcoholics before is he's out in Akron, Ohio. I'll get back to Akron, Ohio here in a minute. In Akron, Ohio, he had a business venture. He was going to do really well if it went through, and it fell through. Not because he got drunk, it just fell through because it just wasn't a good investment for the stockbrokers back in New York City, and it didn't go through, and Bill didn't get a huge chunk of money like he was hoping to. In fact, he was very low on money. He even questioned how's he going to get back to New York City on the money he had. So he goes down into the hotel lobby there in Akron, Ohio, and you may have seen this in the movie or in the documentary, or you may have heard this. This is the difference between so many other organizations that try to help people quit drinking. You come downstairs and there's a lobby desk, and in one direction is a bank of payphones. Now, this dates it, they were nickel payphones. When I grew up, they were dime payphones, and as I was growing older, they became quarter, 50 cents, dollar, and today they don't even have payphones. But back there in the 1930s, there's a bank of payphones, He's got a couple dollars in his wallet. At the other end of the lobby is the bar. Yes, the sanctuary for every alcoholic, the bar. Lights, music, people talking, people enjoy, people getting their buzz on, people having a great time. Bar, payphones. Bar, payphones. Lobby desk, couple dollars. Bar, payphone. He had an idea. He went to the lobby desk and he got a roll of nickels so that he could go over to the payphone links, and he started looking on the directories, numbers to local hospitals and churches. And he started calling these churches and hospitals. He was looking for someone who was in the throes of his alcoholism, someone who was pitifully drunk and deemed hopeless. And this is how he met Dr. Bob. Yes, one, I forget if it was a church or a hospital, one said, yes, we have a fellow just as you described. He's a doctor, and right now he's going through withdrawals. We have him in the hospital bed. I don't know what you can do for him. He is, there's nothing we can do for him. He's going to die of alcoholism. And Bill says, that's the man I need. And he went and he met Dr. Bob, and Bill didn't ask Dr. Bob for help with Bill's alcoholism. What Bill did was tell Dr. Bob his story. He's sharing his experience, strength, and hope, and a lot of non-hope with Dr. Bob. And that is what separates AA from so many other organizations before and since. I don't go to AA to have others help me. I go to help others, and that spiritually helps me. Bill's help was through helping others. What a concept, right? And it grew from there. Sadly, the Ebby character, he never quite made it. And, historically, or at least in lore, he didn't make it. Well, Bill and Bob were onto something that is now worldwide. You can go just about any country on the planet where there's people, and there are AA meetings. But wait, there's more. The 12 steps that these people in the early days developed out of the 6 from the Oxford group and the additional has been adopted by many other organizations for people with various kinds of addictions. The 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous is almost exactly the same steps as AA's 12 steps. The only difference is where alcohol or alcoholism is mentioned, it's replaced with narcotics. Same thing with overeating, same thing with gambling, same thing with sex addiction. Family groups, there are spin-offs of AA for wives and family members, kids, Al-Anon, Alateen, adult children of alcoholics. They all use the same 12 steps. If you really break down the 12 steps, they're actually handrail to life. Hey, if you have a problem, admit it. If you're powerless over, admit it. Hey, turn it over to something greater than yourselves. Hey, turn your life and your will over to that something greater, because you ain't it. Hey, inventory yourself. Inventory all those things that you've done wrong to harm others, and what you've done wrong to harm yourself, and then share the results of that inventory with a sponsor or a fellow, a clergy member, with another human being, and in doing so, before whatever your higher power is. Hey, become entirely ready to have God remove the defects of character in you that aren't useful to others. Hey, make a more thorough list of the people you harmed. Hey, when it comes time and able to correct those harms if you can without harming them or others, do it. And hey, continue to take inventories, and when you're wrong, promptly admit it. And hey, learn to meditate and pray and continue to turn it over to a higher power. Oh, and by the way, use these guides to help other people in the way that it's helped you. That's actually, now that I've been sober for a while and I've worked the steps a few times, this is like common sense. Killing time passenger. Use a beach. Finkel, I am a beach. Yes. How you doing? Let me see. Let me scroll back to what else I missed. Friday Watch Finkel, we had AA chapter on our worship. Wow. Okay. I did not know that. Now, before I became a recovering alcoholic, when I was an active alcoholic, in the Army, I had a platoon sergeant and his favorite squad leader. They were both recovering alcoholics. I only realized it because they talked the talk, and I was familiar with the talk because my father and stepfather were in AA when I was a kid. It's kind of funny. It was an air assault unit, and I'm afraid of heights. And I was familiar that they were both in the program, and I'm in a helicopter flight at NTC, and usually at Fort Campbell we use UH-60s, but this was a UH-1H. We were training in the desert in Fort Irwin, California, and UH-1H, the Vietnam era helicopter pilots, they were doing the nap to the earth thing, and doors open, and I'm just holding on for dear life, holding on as tight as I can to a hook above me, and I'm just holding on to my knuckles are turning white because I'm scared shitless. And Sergeant, I'll say their names, the platoon sergeant and the squad leader. The squad leader looks at my knuckles and he laughs and he taps the platoon sergeant and they point up there and they're laughing. At that time, I thought they were laughing at the scaredy cat guy in the air assault unit who was scared to death of being banking and rolling with doors open. And I was, but that's not what they were laughing at. It was an inside joke that I didn't get until I got into the program of AA. White knuckling is what they call it when someone decides to stop drinking and doesn't work the program. Doesn't have the epiphanies you get when you have the spiritual awakening of working the 12 steps or something like it. So what they were laughing at is I was white knuckling, and they're familiar with the term white knuckle. I was not familiar with the term white knuckle until years later. I'm like, oh, white knuckling. Oh, that's what they meant. But I digress. Rule 62. Now, if Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob were saints or were successful stockbrokers, think about it. Akron, Ohio. One recovering drunk talks to one active drunk, and Omni Domini Presto Chango AA is born and grows from that point. Imagine if it was a stock company. You start with two people and barely enough money to get a roll of nickels. Fast forward, it's in every populated country in the world, and it's taken on other forms: Narcotics Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Sex Addicts Anonymous, you name it. If there's an addiction for it, there's a 12-step program for it based on those same 12 steps. Imagine if Bill and Bob copyrighted those 12 steps. Imagine how wealthy they would be. Well, Bill, more than once, was offered such opportunities because this is a successful program and it's working for people. Help me out, historians. I think the Rockefellers offered them lots of money to make an investment and make AA a corporation, a for-profit. And the 12 traditions of AA were not developed yet. And some would say those are rules. They're not rules. They're guidelines. They're handrails. But the spirituality of this program includes what I just read in the there are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. Would it work if Bill and Bob made a profit or a loss based on the success or failures of people coming in the rooms of AA? Would it work if we were dependent on money from the Rockefellers? Therefore, what comes with money? Rules. That money comes with strings attached. You are free if you're a group of people doing what you feel guided to do without any outside influence. If you support a political organization, you're no longer free. If you, that's the whole idea. Bill Wilson could have been a very, very wealthy man, but he chose the spiritual route of keeping AA not like that, not for profit, not aligned, independent. But there were times that AAs did try otherwise. Now I'm getting to Rule 62. And because I get my AA lore screwed up, I'm going to actually read it after I Googled it. Because as of when I woke up this morning, I thought it was 42. Because Finkel gets shit wrong. It's not Rule 42, it's Rule 62. Rule 62 is not an official step, tradition, or concept. It's more a folk wisdom phrase. Like the slogans, easy does it, live and let live, to thy own self be true. Well, that slogan's stolen from Shakespeare. In fact, it's on our anniversary coins, to thy own self be true. Meetings get bogged down with debates or egos, especially these meetings where various groups will send a representative to come up with stuff for that district. Or even larger, are we going to rewrite parts of the big book, etc. Yeah, it gets bogged down with debates and egos, and hey, we all have a problem with ego, especially as alcoholics. Or maybe we don't have a monopoly on that. Maybe it's just part of the human nature. I don't know. Oh, I'm highlighting something. Good morning, message, please. I did not mean to highlight. Oh, somebody else is in the background. Okay. All right. Thank you, whoever. Because I'm on a phone, I can't see who's in the basement. Kellen, Ariel, Buxer, whoever you are. Thank you. I should have brought my computer. Damn me. I came to check on you and see how you are feeling. I am feeling well. In fact, I'm about to hit the road. And it ties in with Rule 62, which is part of AA lore. It became shorthand for stay grounded, don't overcomplicate AA, and keep a sense of humor about yourself. Basically, don't take yourself so damn seriously. Where'd it go? The story is told in AA's 12 Concepts for World Service, another 12, and also shows up in some Grapevine accounts. Grapevine is a periodical where people write short stories about their recovery, and AAs, and sometimes Al-Anons and Al-Teens, they order these periodicals and they read them. In the early days of AA, a group in Washington, D.C. Wow, I forgot it was just across the river from where I live. Okay. Washington, D.C. tried to set up an ambitious AA hospital and club complex. Remember earlier on I was telling you about some of the controversies we get into with AA clubhouses? Well, this was a grandiose, going to be a hospital, a group of rooms for meetings, probably, I don't know, probably we're going to set out on some for-profit ventures, things that we just don't consider traditions of AA today. And people argued and debated and came up with rules, actual rules. The plan fell apart, and the papers were sent to AA's headquarters in New York. And among those papers was a group of the rules as they're developing. Whatever. I have no idea what rules 1 through 61 was. But someone had the foresight to add one more rule after the 61 rules totally failed. And they added Rule 62. Don't take yourself so damn seriously. So it's a little bit of humor. That ambitious clubhouse hospital clinic never came to fruition, and Rule 62 never became an actual rule for that, or AA. It's just something AAs say to each other when someone's like taking themselves too seriously. Taking themselves too seriously. You gotta laugh at yourself. You gotta, if recovery after the first year hurts, you're doing it wrong. If life hurts, you're doing it wrong. So A quick side message has nothing to do with AA. For public safety, Rule 62, man, don't take yourself so damn seriously. This is because, sometimes even after this failed clinic, meetings do get bogged down with debates or egos, especially group conscious meetings. Someone is taking their own importance too seriously. Well, I was there. For example, you guys know someone named January Specific. He thinks he knows all about the Last Supper because he was actually on KT during the Last Supper. Now, yeah, he came up and served the wine and gave people seconds. So he had some interaction with the Last Supper. But I was the head count. I personally saw Judas flicking peas at the other disciples. I saw Judas put the thumbtack on Peter's chair, which later convinced Peter to deny the whole group, including Jesus, 3 times before the sun rose. Well, I wasn't an A then. I had rules as head count. I threw Judas out. People say Judas stormed out, went to the Romans or to the Pharisees. No, I kicked Judas out, and GS was downstairs washing dishes and preparing seconds, more portions for Jesus and the disciples. So, yeah. And quite frankly, I think Judas and myself were taking ourselves too seriously. All right, that was a joke. GS was there, I wasn't there. Okay, so that's Rule 62. Now here's the ironical thing, mentioning GS. Yesterday, I'm kind of unwinding, laying in bed, and I put on the YouTube. No. Okay, my memory's distorted. All right, last night's, okay, okay, it was, correction. It was in the middle of the day. I'm sorry. Last night, GS had a show on his main channel, and it was about the Charlie Kirk thing. The one that I was watching because nothing was going on here, it was in the middle of the day, was Subpar Gaming, and he made a comment about the mukbang I did at the Dutch Kitchen in Frackville on the way up here. It's literally the halfway point between where I live and where my family lives up here in upstate New York. So I did a mukbang, or did a recorded mukbang. And he says, since you're there in upstate New York, sometimes we confuse upstate with central. If you're in New York City or Binghamton, it's all upstate. Only this part is central New York. If you're in New York City or Albany, if you're in New York City, Albany is upstate. Rome and Oneida and Utica are upstate. Rochester is upstate. If you're in Binghamton, all that's upstate. But so here in Central New York, we refer to ourselves as upstate New Yorkers, and we refer to ourselves as Central New Yorkers. And sometimes we get the two confused because depending on where else you are in New York State, it's flexible as to what is upstate and what is not. And so I'm thinking Central New York, GS is saying upstate New York, or maybe vice versa. And he says, while you're up there, such as doing mukbangs, you should go to this pizza restaurant and do a mukbang. I've never heard of this pizza restaurant. Where is it? Now, for some reason, I'm thinking, is he just talking about Watertown? Is he talking about Fort Drum? Not too far. It's a little bit of a hike. Is that what he's talking about? And he names the restaurant. So I Google it. And the first one I had with a similar name was in another state. I'm like, no, he's talking about New York State. This can't be it. And I asked him, he confirmed, no, not that. It's in New York. Okay. Let me Google Maps it by the actual name. Voila. There was a restaurant with that name, I confirmed. Are you talking about the house, the Greenwich House of Pizza? Yes, that's the name. And I look at it, and I didn't expand the map. I said 2 hours and 18 minutes was the estimated travel time. God damn it, Finkel. I'm staying up just to watch your mukbang. I hope this goes boom. Okay, the mukbang is on. It's scheduled for 4 p.m. I was originally going for 12 p.m., and we'll get back to Rule 62, because I do take myself too seriously sometimes, and the irony. Okay, so I'm thinking, do I want to do this mukbang somewhere in my area? Oh, wait, it's over 2 hours away. I'm like, not really interested. And then he suggests, well, if you can't do it while you're there, why don't you do it when you're on your way home? I'm like, oh, let's see how close it is to my route. So I expand the map, and it's way over here in eastern New York. It's literally upstate from New York City, directly up, maybe up, was it 95? I'm like, whoa, that's way out of my way. Yeah, that's like, I'd have to take 90 to 95 and go home that way. And instead of a 9-hour drive, that turns in, I tried it once. It's a 14-hour drive. No, thank you. I'm like, not really interested. But then in that expanded map, something looked familiar. I'm like, something's clicking here about this map. I'm like, isn't that where? Now, for years now, since I've been in AA, Mom suggests that the woman I've been calling Holly on YouTube and I, when we come up here, we do a side trip to Bill Wilson's home. I'm like, wait a minute. A side trip to Bill Wilson's home. I think I'll do that. So I Googled Bill Wilson's home because I thought I remember it being close geographically to where GS's restaurant is. If I can make a pilgrimage to Bill Wilson's home and combine it with the mukbang on the way to or on the way back, I think the trip will be worth it. So I Googled home of Bill Wilson, and I found out there's more than one. So I wasn't sure if this is the right one. There's one in New York City where he and early AAs opened up a place of lodging to help alcoholics get sober. That's the one where famously Bill complained to his wife Lois, none of these people are staying sober in all my efforts. And she reminded him, Bill, you're staying sober. Yeah, helping others, not helping yourself. Okay. And the other was in Vermont or Connecticut, I can't remember. And that one was the parents of Bill Wilson. That was their home, Bill Wilson's childhood home. Okay, that's kind of a place that A's like to go. And another was a place in eastern New York, not far from, I can't remember if it was Vermont or Connecticut. I don't know my geography very well. But that's got to be one close enough to where I'm going to do this mukbang that would make the mukbang trip worth it. There's another place that A's like to go for pilgrimages. And I'm using pilgrims colloquially. It's not a religion. That's in Akron, Ohio, and that's where Dr. Bob's place was. Every so often they announce Founders Day. Hey, this group's going to make a bus trip to Akron, Ohio, or to Vermont, or to New York City to see these places. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure which is what. I mean, I know Akron, Ohio, that's Dr. Bob. But Bill's Vermont, Connecticut, New York City, and Eastern New York. But which one is it? So I keep looking at the hit results for Bill Wilson's home, and I come across pictures that I recognize from people talking about this in the past in the AA meetings. That's the one. Whereas this one, boom, 40 minutes in regular traffic from where the mukbang is. Ta-da! I told GS I'm doing it. At the time, I was going to do it at noon, but he suggested, hey, before you do it, get permission to record. I'm like, oh, come on, I'm a First Amendment auditor. I don't get permission. And I thought about, well, I'm going to be sitting inside. And if I'm going to plan an event around it, I better make sure I have permission. So I called him and I said, hey, I have a YouTube channel. I want to be live with the camera on while I'm eating and talking about your place. Would that be okay? And the guy's like, well, I think so. Or, hold on a second. And he yells at somebody in the background, I'm assuming some kind of management. Hey, there's this guy from YouTube. He wants to record while he's eating. Is that okay? Yeah, just make sure it's after 4 p.m. my original plan was to go there first, do the mukbang at noon, and then go on to Bill's place 30, 40 minutes further and get to pay homage to Bill Wilson. Well, now I got to do it after 4 p.m. I'm like, wait a minute, Finkel, dumbass. Do Bill's place first, and on the way back, with plenty of time to spare, do the mukbang at Greenwich House of Pizza. So it's on. At 4 p.m., I'll be at Greenwich House of Pizza. The only caveat left is will there be good Wi-Fi, or will I be able to connect to my regular cell phone to have a strong enough connection to go live? I should be able to do one or the other. If I can't do either, I'll just record it and post the recording later. By the way, as I drive across New York State to the eastern side, I'm probably going to have thoughts and see things and do little short videos. I'll definitely do one at Bill Wilson's house and post them. As such, I'm probably going to run out of my alerts for the day before I get to the mukbang. So if you're interested, I get it. Mukbangs can be boring. If you watch The Angry Vet, it can really be boring. So if you're not interested, no big deal. But if you want to see that mukbang, it's scheduled for 4 p.m. Earlier, before I did this research, I was saying 12 p.m. You're probably not going to get alert at 4 p.m. So if you're interested in it, set whatever reminder device you have for 4 p.m. Or, a live stream is just like a recording. You can watch it later. Or, if you've been following the Angry Vets mukbangs, you may find a mukbang completely boring and want nothing to do with it anyway. All of the above are fine. Just if you're expecting to watch it live, it's not noon, it's 4, and I might be out of alerts when I do go live at 4. That's why I call him Sparkles. What? Wait a minute. He's really not a pretty girl. Come on now. Guys, I'm up here taking myself seriously, and you're down there joking. How dare you? Rule 62, bitches. Well, Rule 62, I know you're not recovering alcoholics. You might not even be active alcoholics, but my suggestion to the angry victim and the other angry victim called For Public Safety, my advice to you is stop taking yourself so damn seriously. Man, it's YouTube. People dunk on each other on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It's anti-social media, man. Get over yourselves. And that's enough digression and AA talk and Rule 62. Sometimes things go south when you have a good spiritual past and you try to make it a for-profit. Things go wrong. Ain't that right, the angry version? When something's well-intentioned, but you end up making it for personal profit, it don't work out so well, does it? Just saying. Okay, now to other things. Speaking of controversy, there was a phone call on my way up here. It's recorded. You've heard me talk about it before. If you're listening now, you've probably heard me talk about it before. That memory card is in the mail. It should be with Muxter sometime today or tomorrow. It's guaranteed by tomorrow. The guy at the post office says it'll probably be there today. So keep an eye on Muxter's channel, or he's welcome to post it on mine with the live stream if he wants. And my intention for that being released, and it would wait a few more days if I just kept it and took it home and did it myself. It's not to dunk on For Public Safety. It's not to even dunk on myself or anybody for public safety, and I may have mentioned. The purpose at this point for me wanting that whole conversation released is so that anybody who watches can learn from what happened. I may have been wrong. For Public Safety may have been wrong. The way I remember it, I'm perfect and 100% right, and everybody else is wrong. That's not the case. I know better. And I'm hoping when I hear our conversation back. I'm like, oh, I was wrong there. I was right there. Oh, that's not really sure one way or the other. Oh, we overreacted to this. It's a learning experience. It's not to dunk on for public safety, although in this moment I'm very tempted to dunk on him, like I think I just did. Tell him not to take himself so seriously. Actually, that's good advice. That's not dunking. Anyway, showing time. It's like the checks. We'll never get to it. Yes, I will never get to it. 7:21 is daylight, and if I'm going to get to bills in time, to get to the mukbang in time, I better leave in the very near future. And no, I'm not taking my water pill, because I don't want to stop to pee while I'm eating pizza or whatever. All right, guys. Don't know if we're posting other stuff before the mukbang or not. But if I do, and you're interested in the mukbang, be advised there might not be alert when it goes live. And I don't know the signal strength there. It might not even go live, but if it doesn't go live, it will be recorded and posted. Cheerio, and remember, don't take yourself so damn seriously. End right there. There's the end. Okay, end.
I don't know what those two putas are talking about. I am the wind beneath Finkel's.
Hold on. It is obviously me. I am the wind.
You guys, this is stupid. I knew him first. Obviously, he is nothing without.
Oh, you knew him first. I am so sick of this. I knew him first bullshit.
Me too.
I don't
I don't care what anyone says. I am Finkel's favorite.
If it wasn't
If it wasn't for me, he'd just be one more rambling old man on the internet.
Come on, you guys. Why can't we all just get along? To be honest, I like to think I am the wind beneath my own wings.
Shut
up, Finkel.